that's really special, you know, for your relationship with Wild Bill's goes far back. And I think that it's super special that Wild Bill's just celebrated their 30 years. And Rocky, you're coming up on 30 years here as well, right?
I still remember the day when I met the entire family.
Walk us through that.
It was fantastic. You know, they were just starting up, opening their retail shops, and they had that enthusiasm that I had about participating in the premium cigar industry, and we just hit it off. You know, our cultures are quite similar, and they're great guys. And I met Mike and all the brothers, and obviously everything in this family evolves around food, and lots of it. And so we had an amazing dinner. You know, there was about 12 or 14 of us at dinner, but there was enough food for 50.
In true fashion, yes.
And a few drinks to start with, and then we ended up at a nightclub. In those days, everybody was much younger, and you know, we were into having a lot more fun. Now we're much older, and we try to enjoy and relax and sit back, have a couple of drinks with cigars. But yes, there was a lot of energy, should I say, throughout the evening. A lot of male bonding. We had a lot of fun, and you know, so there's a lot of fun things that happen that I can't really talk about in this interview, but I'll say that it's been a great 30-year relationship, and it's been a wonderful relationship, and we enjoy spending time with each other. The only regret I have is we don't spend enough time with each other. So I got to get them out of Naples more, and I got to come up. I think I might be coming back in May and maybe doing a few events with Wild Bill. So and get a little golfing with you know, some of the boys.
Love that. So, they love their golf.
Yeah,
that's
they
for
do
sure.
love their ball. In fact, they're all playing golf while we're working,
and
you know.
That is the trend.
Thursday today, and I heard they play like 3 times a week. I'm doing some. The only difference is we have a great relationship, and the older they got, they work less. The older I got, I work more. So I'm definitely the dumber one and doing something wrong here.
They're doing something right,
They're doing something right. Let's figure it out.
Now that's the relationship started strong. There was, you know, that instant spark there. How has it evolved over the years past the personal part with regards to the business of Wild Bill?
Well, you know, back then it was just a few retail stores, and you know, we were quite engaging and teaching they were telling me what would work in Michigan on the retail side. I certainly was helping them with cigars and, you know, what brands that they ought to carry, and, you know, how retail really works from my travels around the country, what I see other good retailers doing. And so we were always engaging in good professional ideas. And over time, you know, they went from like 2 stores to 3 stores to 5 stores, and slowly it was 10 stores, 50 stores, 100 stores, and so it's become a real big operation. And now they're, I think, 4 or 5 different states also. So I've seen them evolve, and you know, we were first focused on handling 5 to 6, 7 stores, and how do you participate in making them great A+ stores in Michigan. And now it's kind of grown to a separate business, should I say. And of course, we've evolved too from a smaller company. We were a much smaller company at that time. I think I know them from the Indian tobacco days when I first started.
Right.
And then we slowly evolved over time to Rocky Patel Cigars, and we went from making, you know, 1 million cigars to 2 million cigars to 5 million cigars. So we've grown together. And so, you know, our small little businesses have become, you know, significantly bigger, should I say. And so it's been fun to grow together and see them, and they keep growing. And like I said, they're enjoying their time.
And you just get busier.
And I seem to be just working harder. So
crank out those cigars.
I think I need to get more advice from them.
Now, 30 years is a huge milestone in any industry, especially cigars, you know, where consistency and patience are key. What are some of the lessons that you learned early on in your career that you still go back to and use and keep in the back of your mind today?
Well, I think the most important part that resonates for me is quality. I think you have to really pay attention to quality and consistency, and we've been focused on that. I think that's what's really been helpful for the growth of the brand. I think when you smoke a Rocky Patel cigar, the one thing it's going to deliver quality and consistency. Everybody has different taste profiles of what they like, and I think we have a plethora of different, from mild to medium to full. We have them all, but I know that when you get a Rocky Patel, it's going to draw perfectly, it's going to burn well, it's going to get aged fermented tobaccos, it's going to deliver flavor and character, and it's going to have some balance. So, we focus on quality. That's the foremost, most important thing. And being a handmade product, every once in a while, you might not get the perfect cigar, but when I do, trust me, I'm on the phone with the factory right away, because, when your name's on it, you want the cigar to really be great. And so, in the recent years now, we've been working on elevating the brand. I think that, the last few releases of cigars we've had, they really, just speak to luxury and a luxury lifestyle. We spend so much time concentrating on the quality. Literally, by the time we plant a seedling in the ground, time to get a cigar in a box takes 4 to 5 years. 300 different hands touch the tobacco. And with all that work and being so labor intensive, we really want to focus on showcasing them in a really luxurious manner. And I think we're focusing on elevating brand with the 60, with the white label, with the Disciple, now with the Emerald, the gold label, and we have the new 30th anniversary coming out.
I know.
And it's amazing how 30 years has just flown by. It seems like yesterday. It's like we were just saying, I felt like I was one of the young guys in the business. And then you kind of get a Hall of Fame award. It's like, okay, Grandpa, here you go, So now I feel like I'm one of the older guys in the business. So seasoned, should I say?
Yes, so we call you a veteran.
Okay.
Seasoned veteran.
Yeah.
Now, over 3 decades in the industry, you've seen some fads come and go.
Yeah.
Right? From the gigantic ring gauges to the revival of Connecticut's. Have there been any trends that have hit the cigar industry that you were surprised that they stuck?
Well, I think, we've seen, like, when we first started, torpedoes were huge, figurados were huge. The one trend that I'm still surprised that stuck is the 6x60 and the 7x70s. It's shocking to me how many people smoke the 7x70s and 6x60s. I can't get around that. So, yeah, that's quite interesting, because, when you have a cigar with that bigger ring gauge, there's so much air going through it, and it takes so much time. So that, I would say, that's probably been the most surprising part of what's stuck in the industry.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that you see in the lounges.
They outsell Churchills, outsell torpedoes, they outsell most, so it's usually Toros or Bustos in the 60s.
In your opinion, what do you think the next trend is going to be that's going to stick? What do you think?
Well, ironically enough, still, the mild cigars are the #1 selling cigars, right? And but when you go out and do events, you meet most of the smokers that come out to the events, are prolific, kind of, very highly educated cigar connoisseurs, and they all seem to like, more the medium to full bodied, and they pretty much tried all the brands, but at the same time, it still seems to me that mild cigars rule. It's you're seeing a big shift in dynamic in the market also. I think that the fastest growing segment of cigar smokers, we have African American men and African American women. They really enjoy the cigars. They're very, very enthusiastic about learning about cigars. I see them at our lounges all the time. They come down on our factory trips. And they like more of the fuller bodied, medium to fuller bodied, bigger ring gauge cigars.
Yeah.
So I think there's better cigars being made now than ever before in history. I think that all the cigar makers are quite competitive in quality.
Absolutely.
I'm hopeful that, we can get out of some of these tariffs, because we've been hit with 18% tariffs out of Nicaragua, 10% tariffs out of Honduras. My biggest fear in the entire industry is government regulation. I think that, we just got done fighting these FDA regulations that possibly could have wiped out 80% of the entire industry. They were totally overreaching, egregious, and burdensome. We filed 3 lawsuits in federal court to win all 3 lawsuits. The first one was against warning stickers, we hired some of the top epidemiologists. We hired top cardiologists. We got a lot of science from the New England Journal of Medicine, the FDA's own data, and the judge ruled in our favor, and he basically said that the FDA had not provided any significant evidence to show that premium cigars possess a risk to the public at large. Number 2, there was no youth access issues. Kids are not smoking them. And from a First Amendment perspective, we should be allowed to have the name of our brands and family and the packaging. We should be able to talk about the vintage tobaccos just like they do in bottles of scotch and bottles of wine. So that was a great victory. Then the FDA wanted each cigar to go through constituent and chemical testing. No new cigars on the market after 2016. Again, we filed a separate lawsuit, and the judge ruled in our favor again. That the benefit to society from putting an entire industry through hundreds and millions of dollars of this exercise, there's no benefit to society there's nothing new that's going to come out of it. Right. This was all intended for cigarettes that are made on machines. And finally, we filed the 3rd lawsuit to get rid of the whole thing. So on the federal side, we have that. We have anti-smoking regulation that's constantly presented by, Tobacco-Free Kids, American Cancer Society. They don't distinguish the difference between premium cigars, cigarettes, and other tobacco products. And unfortunately, what happens is we become the unintended consequence of all this regulation. So there's non-smoking regulation, taxation, state taxation. Right now, the state of California, if we sell cigars in the state of California, each brand has to be registered. So we were exempt from what they were after flavored cigars, they were after vapes, e-cigarettes, all that stuff. They said, you guys are the good guys, okay? No problem. But in order for you to sell in our state, because you're the good guys, we want you to register each brand, pay us $350 per brand, plus for every size we told on SKU, $250. And so, it's costing us tens of thousands of dollars, and that's every year. So those are the type of things that really make it very difficult as a cigar maker when you're trying to focus on, growing tobacco, curing tobacco, fermenting tobacco, making this beautiful craft product, and put your energy towards that. And you constantly have to fight the government and educate them, and people can smoke marijuana all over the place, everywhere, and nobody says anything. And this beautiful artisan product that takes so much labor and love to make, they attack us continuously, and unfortunately, they're uneducated about it. So we're hoping more people can educate our politicians about it. So that's I love this industry, but that's the only downside about working in this artisan industry, is dealing with these bad politicians.
And that's unfortunate, but you're so passionate about it, and a lot of people know you as this world-class cigar maker. And as you can tell, he's very well versed when it comes to legislation. People don't know how deeply involved you are in that part of the industry. Tell us a little bit about how you got so deeply involved.
Well, having worked so hard, we started with nothing. When I started in 1995, and then finally moved to Naples, Florida in 99, was with 3 employees in a small little office and warehouse, and, worked very, very hard to build the business, build relationships with retailers, with consumers, working on being vertically integrated, having our own farms, having our factories, being in charge of our curing, fermentation, everything, and working so hard to make cigars and build this business, and to find out that it was going to be taken away one day. We used to pay 4 cents every time we imported a cigar from Nicaragua, Honduras, Dominican to the United States. And one day I got a phone call, an email saying, there's people up in Washington, because of S-chip, which is a children's health care tax, they wanted to take that importation tax from 4 cents to $10 per cigar. I said, this can't be true. It can't be true. Now, I've been to Washington, but I never engaged with any senator or congressman. I never had in my life. I didn't know. And so I called up Jeff Borshowitz, who was a friend of mine at Corona Cigars in Orlando. And I said, Jeff, we've got to go to Washington. We got to get involved, because we're going to somebody's taking advantage. So we went down there and we realized that, there were negotiations going on with certain big corporations in the premium cigar business. And without naming names, I will say that they were trying to negotiate a ridiculous tax, and they thought they would wipe out the smaller family-owned companies and they'll be the lone survivors. And that's been the mentality of some of the big companies. And so we got participating, and I literally went into a cafeteria in the Senate building and stood by the Coke machine and waited for a senator to come by, and I would be senator. This is about, 500,000 jobs in Honduras, Nicaragua, Dominican, about 2,500 mom and pop shops in Main Street America that are going to be affected by this. And Senator Harkin from Iowa was the first one, said, okay, kid, come to my office. And I went to his office and basically gave him the rundown on premium cigars I made and how this will really wipe out our industry and affect Main Street America and all the tobacconists. And he introduced me to Senator Reid, who was, Senate Majority Leader. And that's how the ball started. And then we just went from office to office, making our plea and begging people. And we realized that soon we have to come here and educate these congressmen and senators. There's much more powerful people, bigger than us, lobbying and getting their way. And they wanted to make sure that their billions of units that are made on machines get a very, very low tax. But in order to sacrifice, that, they wanted to put a much bigger number on premium cigars. And so this was all internal politics, big corporations versus family-owned companies. And that's when I got involved, and I said, we got to fight for our own rights. Otherwise, they're going to just roll right over us. So that kind of led to, we negotiated down from $10 to $3 to 40 cents a cigar. I had it at 12 cents. I had an exemption at one point, and then other family-owned company members said, oh, we can't do that. It's going to, upset some of the big companies, blah, blah, blah. But I've learned my lesson now that you got to go and fight for your rights. So that's how I started. And then it led from there to state issues and state taxation issues, and then finally the FDA. And then I guess my education as a lawyer comes into play too. So
sure did.
So it's been a lot of work and a lot of stressful hours dealing with all this.
But we're thankful for people like you because it allows us to keep enjoying this beautiful art, right? Now, you've been on the front lines of legislation for years. What's your perspective on how things are right now, the landscape of cigars right now in 2025 leading into 2026?
Well, I think that, we have a final, should I say, we won the appeal on the FDA. So the FDA appealed everything that all the three victories, we won the appeal. But then the judge basically asked for briefs from, we had three different organizations. You have the CAA, which is mostly made up of some of the bigger companies. I'm not going to mention names. You have the CRA, which is mostly made up of family-owned companies. And you have the PCA, which is the Cigar Retail Association. So the family-owned company organization called the CRA and the Retail Association are completely aligned and working together. And there was a definition that was presented by Judge Maida of what a premium cigar is: 100% natural tobacco, wrapper, binder, filler, no filters, no tips, so many pounds per thousand, and no carrot and flavor. And so that's the definition that the judge ruled on. And the other organization, the CA, they wanted to change the definition and add flavors and bring in some machines and all those other things in the definition. So we're fighting about that. There's briefing on that at present. We're hoping that the judge will rule in our favor. And so, there's certain people out there, unfortunately, that don't have skin in the game, should I say, and they act recklessly. I think they go in and try to, do something that is impossible or next to impossible, that I know the judge won't allow. I know the FDA won't allow it. The Justice Department won't allow it. They were all in line with everything that Judge Maida passed, and we had the trophy in our hand. We just had to raise it, right? So we had the Justice Department agreed to it. We had the FDA agreed to the ruling of Judge Maida. We had the PCA and the CRA all agreed to this definition to exempt premium cigars. And this organization came in at the last minute, mucked it all up, and so we're kind of fighting over that. So Once that is gone, obviously we have state tax. So here you have a 50-cent cap in Michigan. Hopefully it stays that way. We're trying to introduce that into many states. There's states like California and New York that have like 62, 70% tax.
Right.
There's anti-smoking regulation that pops up. You can't smoke in cigar stores. You can't smoke in cigar lounges. You can't smoke in certain public places. So we're constantly battling that. So we have state advocacy going on all the time. We have a big battle going on in Europe and Canada right now with plain packaging, with registration of brands. So it's a continuous battle. And, you know, these politicians just evolve. They come in and they go. And, you know, the one thing I will say is you see all this dissension in the country right now that's going on politically. The beauty about cigars, it gets people together. It doesn't matter what race, what religion, what culture, what socioeconomic class. People get together, They can talk about life, politics, sports. They can just sit around, meditate. And it's the most amazing thing. As soon as you have a cigar, you cultivate an automatic friendship.
Absolutely.
Whether it's at the Wild Bill store, whether it's anywhere you go, you build an automatic relationship. And if the leaders of the world will get together, smoke a cigar, and enjoy a nice scotch or a bourbon, I think we could solve a lot of the world's problems.
Amen. I hear that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. And we're so grateful for, you know, your involvement in that. And it's important for cigar lovers, industry leaders to stay engaged in that fight, because it does affect our rights and our delicious, beautiful hobby that we have here. Now, if you could go back and talk to Rocky Patel year one, what advice would you give to yourself?
Year one, boy.
Bring it all back.
Well, I mean, if I could have from the very beginning, you know, I probably would have said that as opposed to having other people making cigars for yourself, I would have taken the time, been more patient, started collecting tobacco slowly. And it was very difficult at that time. You have to understand, when I started, there were hundreds and hundreds of brands that came out. The cigar boom was on. Cigar Aficionado had just released. All the celebrities were smoking cigars. Everybody, there was a shortage of tobacco. And the only people that had good tobacco were the old Cuban families that had relationships from fathers to grandfathers. So I was the outsider looking in. Most other cigar brands are heritage families that have been doing it for generations. So, you know, my story is quite different. I call it against all odds. Nobody ever thought I would make it. In fact, they probably thought I'll take their money, he'll be gone in a couple of years. So very few people survived. So, you know, luckily I spent the time to gain the knowledge and all that. But it's an industry of patience. And, you know, early on we started stockpiling and collecting tobacco. And, you know, I wish I could have started farming a lot earlier, but it's not easy to do. I'm lucky to have some really good partners down in Nicaragua and in Honduras. I have Maritza at the factory in Honduras. I have Amilcar in Nicaragua. So, you know, a lot of these other families, they live down there, right? So being grown up here, it's very difficult to live there. You know, it's a third world country. It's very tough.
Very different.
And people have a very tough life there, and they work very, very hard. And we try to help them as much as we can. So it's an interesting industry. And yeah, probably the advice is get married and have some more kids so they could run the business.
Well, there it is.
That's probably the best advice I can give you.
All right.
I should have done, yes.
I love that. I love that. Well, now let's talk about this new release.
I can play more golf and relax and fish.
There you go. So you can hang out with the boys more, right?
Exactly.
Let's talk about this beautiful new release. So the Rocky Patel 30th anniversary is what you brought us today.
Yes.
What inspired this specific blend? Is it the 30-year celebration, or is it more you've been working on this for a couple years and it perfectly aligned with the 30th?
Well, you know, 30 years is quite special, and it's a landmark. So we had to come out with something very, 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 very good. And we've had some home runs with the last 4 releases between the Rocky Patel 60, the white label, the gold label, the emerald. They've all been doing very well marketplace. So I had to do something better than that. So, you know, we found some of our older tobaccos from 2016, 17, and I worked on this probably a year and like 8 months.
Okay.
And made like 111 blends. and then we came down to 3. And then we would tinker with them. Sometimes they'd get better, sometimes they get worse, change the binder, change the filler a little bit. And it really was 3 different blends that we had. And I was like, and I smoke the cigars. I give them to my brother. And then there's one other gentleman by the name of Adam in our office, and he's got a great palate. So it's the 3 of us that basically decide, and they're blind to, you know, they don't know what blend number it is or anything. They just mark like blend 1, blend 2, blend 3, and then we smoke them, we take notes, and you know, all 3 of us had 3 different choices, and then, you know, we eliminated one, then it came down to the final 2.
Okay.
And so we said they're both great. So we decided one was going to be the regular 30th anniversary release, and the other one was going to be a limited edition. 30th anniversary, because we couldn't decide which is which. So I think that this cigar is probably the most balanced cigar that we've ever made, with that richness and flavor and character, but probably the most balanced, elegant cigar.
It's a delicious cigar.
And it's been aged a long time because the packaging has been held up. The ship that was supposed to carry all our packaging in, one of the arms that are in the unloading docks in Nicaragua, they suppose they have 4 of them, only 1 worked. So the ship went on to Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico, and came back. So it's been delayed for a month. This was supposed to be released back in July, August. So hopefully it's going to be released. We just heard that the ship is coming in this weekend. So hopefully we'll have these out pretty soon, sometime in early November.
Beautiful. Early November. Now walk us through this blend. Walk us through the tobacco used, the aging process, and what sets this cigar apart from all your other delicious ones that you have.
So like I said, so this is also a really nice oily San Andres wrapper from Mexico. And it's got fillers from our farms in Esteli, Nicaragua, Condega, Nicaragua. It has 2 different binders. It has a broadleaf binder, and it also has a Honduran binder. And so this is predominantly Nicaraguan, but it's got a nice balance between the San Andres from Mexico and the Connecticut broadleaf, which is one of the hardest wrapper and binders to get. I would say that it's a rich cigar, a decadent cigar, but really, really balanced and smooth. So you get a lot of richness, but it's really balanced with a ton of flavor. So,
it is, and it pairs well with this blue label here, doesn't it?
I know. Again, we've been talking so much, I haven't had a chance to smoke or drink.
Now it's just sitting here, just marinating with our beautiful cigar. Yes, absolutely. Now, when you light up this cigar, Rocky, what are you most proud of?
Well, I think it's the best work we've done to date. You know, I would say that. Before that, I would say the Rocky Patel 60 was my favorite. I switched it, and I forgot the age limit and rare. So the Rocky Patel 60 and the age limited rare were the 2 that I smoked most often. Now with the gold and emerald, they're in the cycle. So I love those. But I'd say that if I had to choose one, this is my new favorite now. And the packaging is also quite unusual and distinguishable. It's kind of this powder blue with this really rich dark leather, kind of puffy bar. It's really cool. It's dynamic. Unfortunately, I don't have the boxes, so you don't have them here. But trust me, they're gorgeous, and you're gonna love this cigar. So look for the Rocky Patel 30th, available at Wild Bill's. They'll be here, and you're gonna love them. And hopefully, you get a chance to smoke one of these soon.
There you go. And I do love the wrapper on this and the contrast from the dark wrapper and the band. And you have that nice teal band on that foot. It's beautiful.
So Karen, I was telling you earlier that we've kind of elevated the logo and the brand. So you'll notice now all the new so the old Rocky Patel RPs had a little dot around here. And now the logo's been elevated and kind of modernized, should I say. It's got like little torpedo cigars around it, and it's also got has a different script, and it's pretty cool. And you're going to be seeing it now in all our marketing and all our advertising and our shopping bags, our
Love that.
Ziploc bags, our new ashtrays, our new lighters. So we've, after 30 years, we've decided to freshen up and elevate the look. So you're going to see a really, really sexy new Rocky Patel after 30 years, if that's possible.
I love that. And you're always, lately with your cigar bands and the marketing and the packaging, a lot of the feedback that we get from consumers that love your product is they're just really, really attracted to the new packaging, the new boxes. And so you've done a great job, and we're excited to see what, what's in the store with the new 30th and beyond.
Again, we're doing everything against Marketing 101, right? So Marketing 101 tells you that when you create a brand, you create brand consistency.
Right.
So if you look at all the brands, they all like the Davidoff, Padron, everything looks exactly the same. The logo, we're all over the map.
Well, from the beginning, you went against the grain, right?
Yeah. So we're just, we try to be different. And so for me, it's like an individual creation, right? So when we come up with the 60, that was for the 60. What do we do? Something unique and different and cool and collector's item. So when we do the 30th, we want, if I kept every box like the original vintages, when the vintage 1990 or 1999, they're all, okay, well, it gets boring after a while. Even I get bored looking at it. So we want to, bring energy and enthusiasm in the industry. That's another reason I created the burn lounges, right? Yep. So when we would smoke when we would finish dinner, whether we were in Michigan or in Chicago or New York or Vegas, whatever, we're treated like criminals. You want to go smoke a cigar, you walk in a beautiful lounge. People were allowed to smoke cigarettes, but we weren't allowed to smoke a cigar. And people always had this vision of smoking cigar, a bunch of old guys sitting in a dark, dungy lounge, smoking cigars, smoke-filled, And I said, how do we create energy for young people, for women, other enthusiasts to enjoy a cigar? So that's why I built the lounge first in Naples, is there was nowhere to go for me to hang out. So I said, let's create something that's exciting, aesthetically beautiful. It's got, great energy. It's got music. It's got the wow factor from the decorative finishes and everything else, the top bourbons, wines, scotches, and great humidor and liveliness. And sure enough, young people came in, women came in, all kinds of people who had never smoked a cigar before. So I don't describe them as cigar lounges. I describe it as the coolest lounge where you have the opportunity to smoke a cigar.
I like that.
And that's what, this craft is all about. It's about bringing more people in to show them that it's an artisan cottage industry with a lot of love, with a lot of passion, that's a lot of fun. And that's the vibe and message we're trying to get across. And
you've done that successfully, because it doesn't matter where I'm at, whatever Wild Bill's lounge I'm at. Everybody always talks about how awesome and how inviting and just how fun your lounges are, the burn lounges.
I just got to get here more often.
You really do. You really do. You really do. And speaking of that, 30 years in, most people use this time to slow down. And I feel like we were just talking about this. You somehow have managed to speed it up in 30 years. What is keeping you invigorated to continue with innovation versus just leaning back on this beautiful legacy that you've created?
Yeah, I can never let the foot off the gas. It's just like, it's easy to get up here, but the fall is a lot longer. And I enjoy what I do. I love what I do. The minute I wake up, I think about making cigars. I think about marketing ideas. I think about what we could do better, and how I keep certain salespeople. And, so there's all these certain things that I'm constantly thinking about, right? So it's just... I love what I do. I enjoy what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. And so, yeah, it just keeps me going and going and going.
I'm sure it's hard to kind of bring all of that to a stop.
And we had some great numbers during COVID. And, some of our management said, oh, there's no way we can beat those numbers. And I said, yeah, if you work hard, we can. So I wanted to lead by example.
Of course you did.
But I'm ready to take it a little easier next year. So, hopefully you guys will see me more out fishing and golfing and hanging out. I'll do some events, but, we have enough good people out there that also are very educated about our cigars. So
absolutely,
keep smoking the cigars, keep buying them at Wild Bill's, and so I don't have to work as hard.
Now, if you can sum up the next 30 years for Rocky Patel Premium Cigars in one word, how would you sum up the next 30 years? What's your vision in one word?
Well, I'd like to actually settle down, get married, relax, enjoy family time. That's really what I'd like to do.
So that's what's next for Rocky Patel, the man.
Next 30 years. But I promise you, I'll still keep creating some amazing cigars, and I promise you that there'll be great quality, great consistency, and it'll always be fun when you smoke a Rocky Patel cigars. And I will be out there with my brother, along with some other people, building relationships, and see you somewhere down the road.
I love that. I love that. Well, now we're going to have some extra fun. Are you ready?
Okay.
We're going to play a nice little game we didn't tell you about.
But I have another sip.
So I've coined this little game Rapid Fire. All right. It's an opportunity for your fans to get to know you personally, but quickly.
You know, I did wake up at 5 a.m. to get.
All the more better. I'm going to get so much honesty out of you. So what I'm going to do, Rocky, is I'm going to give you a list of 2 words, and you are going to, don't spend time thinking about it. You're going to give me the first choice that comes to mind.
Like
so for
anything?
example, no, I got the words.
No, but is it related to cigars or
It's
anything?
anything.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So I've got, for example, if I were to say chocolate or vanilla, go.
Okay, Java.
No, out of chocolate or vanilla, you got to pick chocolate or vanilla.
Oh, I got to pick the word.
Not association, you got to pick one.
Okay, I thought
Ready?
it was an
So
association.
chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Okay. So without thinking, I'm going to
Gotcha.
give you a list of them, and you got to
Okay.
pick one of the 2.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Cake or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Ooh. Habano or San Andreas wrapper?
San Andreas.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Scotch or coffee?
Scotch.
Nice. Pizza or burgers? No thinking.
That's a tough
No
choice.
thinking.
I like them more than, I'll say burgers.
All right. Box pressed or round?
Box press.
Toro or Robusto?
Robusto.
Nice. Factory time or being on the road?
Factory time.
Your 60th cigar or your decade?
60th.
Nice. Beach vacation or a city getaway?
City getaway.
Poker night or golf?
Golf.
If you were not making cigars, what would you be doing?
Head coach of the Green Bay Packers.
Stop it. Well, there you have it. That's what Rocky would be doing. I thought you were going to say chef.
Well, that's so the next 30 years, that's what we forgot. I want to go to a culinary school in France, spend 6 months to a year there, and then just open up a little place for fun with 6 tables. And I don't care if you have a food allergy, you're not, whatever I serve, that's what you get. That's the wine menu said, everything you said. If you have an allergy, see you later, go down the street. But I have like an 8-course menu.
I love that.
So I love to cook. So I've been cooking a lot. And 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, 50 people. When I get home, the first thing I do is I invite people and I do like a 4, 5, 6-course meal. And so that's my passion. Yes, we didn't touch on that. So
Here it is.
I enjoy, as long as there's an open bottle of wine, I'll keep cooking, and I love to cook. So we got to get the Simonas down here, the family down there, so I can cook for them.
I agree. And if you need a taste tester when you're out in your culinary adventures, I would love to be there.
I made chicken marsala. I made a Caesar from scratch.
Nice.
And stuff. So yes, that's my passion. So yes, I'd like to. In fact, I did I was in the middle of Arkansas. Somebody flew me in, and they had 50 people, and I went to Costco and I made an 11-course meal for 50 people with cigar smoker at their house. So
that's what we should have done today, was had you cook our lunch.
yeah, we can.
And then,
we should do this with your consumers.
Love that.
You should plan something.
Cooking and cigars.
We got to get a big kitchen somewhere and invite them over, and then each one's got to buy 3 or 4 boxes, and they get to come to the dinner.
That's the entry, of course.
Absolutely.
Rocky, we couldn't be more thrilled that you're here. Congratulations on the 30 years.
Thank you.
But before we wrap up, for the consumer that's going to be enjoying this cigar for the first time, how would you recommend that they do that? What's the setting? What's the pairing? What's the mindset? How do you want them to approach this Rocky Patel 30th anniversary?
I think, Caroline, this is a very special cigar. I think that you don't want to rush through it, and you want to be in a place where you're peaceful, harmonious, most relaxed. Light it up with your favorite scotch, bourbon, rum, coffee, tea, whatever you like. Make sure you relax and really give it a thorough chance to enjoy it, because I think you're going to fall in love with it.
It's outstanding. Absolutely. Rocky, it has been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Thank you
Thanks
for everything
and
that
thank
you
you to
have
the
done.
Simona family, and congratulations to Wild Bills for building this beautiful empire and for promoting all the hard work that we work at and celebrating it and introducing it to other customers. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. For all of you listening and watching, make sure you light up one of Rocky's special cigars today. Keep an eye out for that 30th anniversary at your local Wild Bill's humidor. And until next time, friends, I hope your burns are even, your ashes are long, and you have a tasty cigar. Till next time.